Greetings, one and all, and welcome to episode number 56 of Thoughts and Hunches, making money in punches and sucker punches. Your boy Stoney is back for the 56th time, and so are you. I'd like to welcome my fellow hustlers, lowlifes, hoodlums, cheats, scumbags, fienders, and degenerates. And back by popular demand and by viewer request, criminals, perverts, virgins, horn dogs, jagoffs, jihadists, and altar boys, especially you Catholic altar boys who have peculiar relationships with your priests. You know who I'm talking about, Cruz, Donnie, and so forth. Anybody whose last name ends in a vowel. Anyway, well, not necessarily. Anyway, another winning week last week. The reason you're back for the 56th time is because all I do is drop winners in your lap and continue to make you money. After a really, really bad week last week in NFL playoffs, where we wound up an abysmal 2-6, we turned it around last week. Championship week, we went 3-1. Absolutely nothing wrong with that, right? Got us to 12-12, 50% for the playoffs now with one game left next week. So, worst that can happen, we'll go 12-14. Best that can happen, we'll go 14-12. We'll see how it all plays out next week. Next week's telecast, by the way, will have prop bets. I'll have a couple for you that I like that you can jump on. And I'll also obviously have the side and the total of Super Sunday. In the meantime, let's go over the numbers from last week. Like I said, 3-1, NFL playoffs, 12-12 on the NFL playoff run at 50%. Obviously, our lowest number of any sport of the year, and it's all thanks to divisional playoff week where we got crushed. NCAA basketball, on the other hand, another 13-9. Not exactly a stellar week, but 13-9 is 13-9, and that's absolutely winning. 106-65 on the season. That's good for 62%. Solid all the way. Cannot be beaten. That gave us 16-10 on the week last week. 58% winning week. Solid everywhere you look. 16-10. If that's a bad week, we'll take it. And Kate, for those of you that have lost count, that is now 6 consecutive winning weeks. And they're not just winning weeks. I mean, we had one week that was 55%, and last week was 58%. All the other weeks have been in the 60s. Again, I dare anybody to give you 26 picks every single week and continue to deliver at the success rate that I have. Nobody can catch up to me, okay? This will probably be the lowest watched video of the season because there's no football and DJ Frankie Boy and everybody else needs to see their NFL and give me my NFL picks, but I'm making you money in college basketball. So why would you not jump on my college basketball picks? If you don't, you're just costing yourself, because remember, scared money don't make money. So that's how it's been. That's how it's going to go, right? We are now, for the season, 451 wins, 289 losses, and 2 pushes. Good for 60.95%. We're going to get back over 61%, and that's going to happen this week. Quick recap, NFL regular season, we hit at 63.98%, which was our top score of the season. Bowl season, 45-27. College bowls, 62.5%. And NCAA football regular season, 137-100, and those 2 pushes for 57.8%. Winners. Everywhere you look, winners. So here we go. Y'all ready? We're going to do college basketball this week, and that's all I've got. Whole bunch of them. Big day in college basketball tomorrow. Saturdays in the month of February are fantastic because we're closing in on conference tournament week in about 3 weeks. That's when all hell breaks loose. Everybody thinks, oh, March Madness, conference tournament week is what it's all about. That's when you got 30 games a day. They go on every single day, and it's just fantastic for about a 10-day stretch where it just gets insane. So anyway, I will have updated programming notes because things get a little crazy in March. So leading into the conference tournaments, I'm going to probably start ripping off 2 videos a week. Leading into the NCAA tournament, where there will absolutely be 2 videos a week, maybe 3, but we will do at least 2 videos a week. Anyway, let's move on. Saturday, February 5th, 2022. Here we go. Y'all ready? Noon Eastern time, ACC. In Tallahassee, Florida. 18-5 Wake Forest heads down to Tallahassee to take on 13-8 Florida State. Florida State's 1.5-point favorites. Florida State's lost 3 straight, and that was after they took over first place of the ACC after knocking off Miami for the second time. The problem right now with Florida State is they're just decimated by injuries. They got big bodies, and it all starts with 7'4" center Naheem McLeod, and he's out right now. Injuries to Malik Osborne certainly don't help, and they're just banged up, which is the reason they've lost 3 straight. Now, they're going up against a red-hot Wake team, right? They're 18-5, right? They lost to Syracuse last weekend, but they bounced back with an impressive win over Pitt the other night. Alondes Williams is leading a team right now that's won 5 out of 6. Alondes Williams is he's the Chris Wenke of college basketball. Remember Chris Wenke, the Florida State quarterback who was like 28 when he graduated? Well, Alondes Williams, I'm 90% sure, is 27 years old. So he's the super duper duper senior for Wake right now, but he's getting it done. He leads Wake in all 3 major categories, right? He transferred from OU. He transferred from somewhere else where he started. I want to say St. Bonaventure, then to OU. Now he's at Wake, and he's getting it done, and he's leading the way. I like Wake in this game. They're only 1.5-point dogs. I like them outright. Take them on the money line. Winner number 1, take the Deeks. Noon Eastern time, Big Ten action, Assembly Hall, Bloomington, Indiana. Classic rivalry, 16-5 Indiana is 1.5-point favorites over number 18 ranked Illinois. They come in at 16-5 right now. Illinois' got all the press. They've got all the pub. They've won 3 in a row after they lost 2. A big win over Wisconsin, an impressive win over Wisconsin on Wednesday, where Kofi Cockburn just went ballistic and had 37 points and 12 rebounds. The thing about it, Illinois, they're loaded, right? There's absolutely no doubt about it. 16-5. They're right at the top of the Big Ten, which is the best conference in college basketball right now. And they're going to be battling with Purdue and Michigan State the rest of the way. But Illinois is loaded, and with that nationally televised game on Wednesday night, the whole nation got to see Kofi Cockburn just go ballistic. So they're a popular bet right now, which is why that spread's only 1.5 as dogs, right? But I have a feeling it would be 3 or 4 had they lost or didn't really show out. Anyway, it's kind of a reaction to what everybody saw. I'm leaning towards Indiana here. Indiana's won 4 out of 5, right? Their front court has, Race Thompson and Trace Jackson Davis is really something else. You haven't seen him play. He will be playing in the association next year. He is just a damn Gumby of a hybrid of a forward who can do everything. And he is leading this team right now. I like Indiana -1.5. Take the Hoosiers at home in Bloomington. Noon Eastern time, Big East action at Stony-Delphia, Pennsylvania. Uconn versus Nova. Another classic Big East rivalry here, right? 12th ranked Villanova, 16-6, and they're 6.5-point favorites over 15-5 Uconn, who comes in with a 17th ranking. Villanova lost Wednesday at Marquette. Marquette's been playing well. Nova struggled down the stretch. They struggled handling the pressure. Too many turnovers. Jay Wright didn't like his team's 3-point shooting. And Colin Gillespie is pretty, I don't want to say the only bright spot, because Nova is extremely talented and loaded and still arguably the favorite to win the Big East. But right now, they're a top 5 team, or they're maybe a top 7 team, but they're playing, I mean, they're ranked 12th, and they're coming off a loss on Wednesday to Marquette, which means they'll probably drop to 15th or 16th, even if they win tomorrow, right? At 6.5 point chalk, at home in Stonydelphia, they are playing Uconn. Uconn lost to Creighton on Tuesday, right? But this loss to Creighton, get this, they lost at home, which was a bad loss. They lost at home by 4 points. In that game, they missed 25 of their first 33 shots and only shot 29.9% from the floor for the entire game, and still only lost by 4 points. Excuse me. But yeah, UConn's a solid team. Dan Hurley has this offense riding high, scoring a lot of points. They only scored 54 points the other night in their loss to Creighton, and that was their lowest output by like 15 points in the new year. And they're averaging 79 points a game. They're going to light it up today. They're going to keep this one close. Nova wins. UConn gets the cover, plus 6.5. Take the Huskies. 1 p.m. Eastern time. SEC action down in Athens. This one, Georgia versus... did I say... Yeah, it is in Athens. Sorry. Georgia versus Auburn. The number 1 team in the country. Auburn comes in at 21-1. And they're 17.5 point favorites against the Dogs. Georgia's struggling. They're 6-16, struggling. Auburn has won 18 straight, and they look every bit like the team to beat. I got to give them credit. I got to give Bruce Pearl a lot of credit. I've given Bruce Pearl a lot of shit on these video vlogs over the last couple years about his propensity for getting caught with his hand in the cookie jar. But whatever he's doing something right. And this team, Auburn, let me tell you, Walker Kessler, the kid, the transfer from North Carolina, leads the nation in block shots, right? And Jabari Smith, forget about it. Jabari Smith is going to be one of the top 3 players taken in the draft, guaranteed. Possibly the number 1 player taken in the draft. Right now, it's probably either him, Paolo Banchero from Duke, or Chet Holmgren from Gonzaga. One of those 3 will go number 1, but Jabari Smith is just playing lights out. Georgia, on the other hand, they've lost 10 out of 11. They lost by 23 to Auburn back on January 19th. They don't really have much going for them. Their season's pretty much toast. Like I said, they're 6-16. They're really not going anywhere. Now they're facing the number 1 team in the nation. But at 17.5 points, I like the Dogs. Everything points to Auburn rolling, and Auburn will roll. And Auburn wins this game and wins it easily by double digits, but just not by 17. Give me Georgia plus 17.5 at home. There's your winner. 1 p.m. Eastern time, we stick in the SEC. And this time we head to Columbia, South Carolina. Let me get this better acquainted. There we go. Anyway, we go down to Columbia, South Carolina, where 15-6 and 22nd ranked Tennessee heads to town to take on 13-8 South Carolina. South Carolina had won 3 in a row before their blowout loss to Mississippi State the other night. They have a balanced team, and Frank Martin is one of the best coaches in the business, and he's also one of my favorite coaches in the business. Guard Eric Stevenson is lighting it up for him down there, but they're in trouble. Even though they're at home today, UT comes in. They've won 5 out of 6. Their loss was last week in the Big 12 SEC Challenge, where I had Tennessee beating Texas in Rick Barnes' return back to Austin in that emotional game where it came down to a buzzer shot that rattled off the rim that would have won it for Tennessee. They wound up losing by 1. but they wouldn't have covered anyway. But they could have won the game, and it would have been 7 or 6 in a row had they won that. But anyway, other than that, Tennessee right now is just playing really well. They bounced back with a strong win over Texas A&M on Tuesday night. Their backcourt is legit. Santiago Vescovi and Kennedy Chandler lead the way in that backcourt, and they're a hell of a tag team that can do some damage in March, because you need a good backcourt in order to advance, to survive and advance. So I like Tennessee here. 7.5 may seem like a lot of points to be laying on the road, and usually it is in conference, but I like the Vols here, and I'm going to roll with the Vols at 7.5. 2 p.m. Eastern time, Big 12 action down at Austin. It's Iowa State versus Texas, another good matchup. Big 12 is very deep, just like the SEC. Texas is ranked 23rd and 16-6. They're 8.5 point favorites over 20th ranked Iowa State, who comes in with the same record at 16-6. Texas has won 3 out of 5 with that big win over Tennessee, like I said, but then they bounced back with a really bad loss on Tuesday. I mean, it's not the fact that they lost, and the fact they lost to a good team, a really good team in Texas Tech, but they were blown out. And this was a blowout team by Chris Beard's old team that came into Texas and beat them up badly. Well, they have a balanced defense, or a balanced offense. They get after it defensively like any Chris Beard team would, but they're 8.5 point favorites, and they're taking on an Iowa State team that lost to Kansas on Tuesday, which no harm, no foul losing to Kansas. Everybody loses to Kansas. But fifth-year guard Isaiah Brockington right now he's the guy that's playing out of his mind. He leads Iowa State in both points and rebounds, and I like Iowa State here. I just think 8.5 is way too many points for the Horns to be laying, so I'm going to roll with the Cyclones at plus 8.5. Moving on, 2 p.m. Eastern time, we're going to stay in the Big 12, and we're going to head to Morgantown, West Virginia. 17-5 Texas Tech comes in, 4.5 point favorites. They're ranked 14th in the nation, and they're taking on 13-8 West Virginia. Everybody knows my love for Huggy Bear and Bob Huggins, but right now, Huggy has his team struggling in a major way. They've lost 6 straight. Guard Taz Sherman is the real deal. He's scoring 19 points a game, almost 20 points a game, and he's legit. But Texas Tech has won 6 out of 7. They're coming off that blowout win over Texas on Tuesday night that I just told you about. They don't have a superstar, but they've got like 7 or 8 players that can really get after it. They're a deep team. So is West Virginia, but West Virginia just hasn't been feeling it lately. So I like Texas Tech here on the road, laying 4.5. 2 p.m. Eastern time, Big East Conference. We're going to move on to Stony Natty, the Cintas Center, and it's 21st ranked Xavier. They're 12-point favorites. They come in at 16-5, taking on 10-10 DePaul as 12-point dogs. DePaul's lost 4 in a row, and their team is just in dire straits right now. Javon Freeman Liberty, their guard, he's really lighting it up to the tune of 21 points a game. But DePaul hasn't found a way to defend, and they can't stop turning the ball over. Well, that doesn't bode well for them in the Cintas Center. Xavier's won 3 out of 5. They won, but they struggled in their win over Butler, and they need like a kind of a statement win to kind of get them back, and this is the perfect time to do it. DePaul is ripe for the picking, and Colby Jones, their guard, between him and forward Jack Nunge, this Xavier team right now is looking like, I don't want to say a surprise team to steal the Big East, because, the Big East is loaded, and Nova is still the class of the Big East, but Xavier could do some damage in a couple weeks, so I'm going to take the Musketeers here. I'm going to lay the 12. 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, Big Ten action. This one's at Mackey Arena in West Lafayette. Good matchup. Number 4 ranked Purdue, excuse me, comes in is home 19-3. They're 9.5-point favorites over 11-8 Michigan, who have just been so erratic, up and down all season long. Purdue's won 4 straight. Everything they do revolves around guard Jaden Ivey. He's going to be playing in the association next year. He's just a slasher, and he can stroke it, and he's as tough as they get. He can go inside and get banged by the big boys, kind of like Allen Iverson used to do when Iverson was young, or actually Iverson's whole career. He was so little, but he had no problem taking the contact and hitting the floor, but he'd always get up. Jaden Ivey's the same way. You add Travion Williams, their super forward, Sasha Stefanovic. There's a reason why Purdue is ranked number 4 in the country. Matt Painter's team is loaded. Right now, they're the class of the Big Ten. They know that, but they know also that Illinois and Michigan State are hot on their heels. So they've got to keep winning. They will win tomorrow. 9.5-point favorites, but can they cover 9.5? They take on a Michigan team now that is starting to get rolling. Yes, I've said they're erratic, but they've won 4 out of 5. Their loss during that time was to Michigan State, and everything they do revolves around Hunter Dickinson, right? The big man. And yes, Purdue is a big team, and Purdue has the bodies to D him up, but how well can they D him up? And can they keep Dickerson from going 27-16 against them? Devontae Jones is starting to come along for Juwan Howard's squad, and between him in the backcourt and Hunter Dickinson down low, this is starting to become a dangerous Michigan team right at the right time. So I'm going to take Michigan plus the 9.5 on the road in West Lafayette. 3 p.m. Eastern Time, ACC action in Raleigh. Notre Dame versus North Carolina State. NC State is 10-13, but they're 1.5-point favorites over the Irish. NC State's lost 4 out of 5. They have a completely depleted front court. They're really struggling right now. They can't seem to get healthy. And Notre Dame, on the other hand, has ripped off 5 out of 6. Their only loss during that time was a loss to Duke on Monday night. They bounced back with a really impressive win on Wednesday night, which knocked Miami out of first place in the ACC. And Notre Dame plus 1.5 is the play here on the road in Raleigh. 4 p.m. Eastern Time, Big 12 action. Fog Allen Fieldhouse, Lawrence, Kansas. This, to me, is the game of the day. You know, the ESPN will beg to differ, and we'll get to that in a minute. But Kansas versus Baylor doesn't get any better than this. Kansas is a perennial Final Four team. Baylor is the defending national champions, who sits with a number 8 ranking right now and is just as good right now as they were last year, and they could very easily repeat. Last year, you had 2 teams, Gonzaga and Baylor, that were the class of college basketball throughout the entire season. There were good teams that challenged, but there was a separation between Gonzaga and Baylor and everybody else. And there's a reason why the 2 of them met in the national championship game. Baylor won it. Baylor's back. Baylor's loaded. They've won 6 out of 7. They're ranked 8th. Like I said, they're 19-3, right? They're at the top of the Big 12 right now, which, like I said, is loaded and very deep. But right now, they're dealing with injuries. LJ Cryer has a foot. Adam Flagler has a knee. James Akinjo has, he's finally healthy. But Cryer and Flagler right now, even if they go tomorrow, which they probably will, they're not going to be 100%. And they got to take on a Kansas team right now that is kind of foaming at the mouth. They've won 6 out of 7, but they're still upset about the way they got slapped around last week by Kentucky in the Big 12 SEC Challenge. Kentucky went into Fog Allen Fieldhouse, and that game was over by halftime. When's the last time that's happened? Yeah, I'll wait while you guys do your research. Ain't gonna find many times that happens, especially at the Fog. Well, they've won 6 out of 7. Ochai Ogbaji finally comes back. He's scheduled to return tomorrow. And guard Remy Martin's questionable. And if he goes, obviously they go. But DeJuan Harris has stepped in while Remy Martin's been kind of sort of on the shelf and not healthy. And DeJuan Harris has been playing really well. But but that's Kansas basketball. It's what they do. I like Kansas here, -2.5 at home. This is going to be a great game, and these are the two best teams in the Big 12. And like I said, the game of the day tomorrow. I like Kansas. Lay the 2.5. 4 p.m. Eastern time, we go back to the Big Ten. This time we're at the Rack in Piscataway, New Jersey. Rutgers is at home. They're 12-9, and they're 2.5-point dogs to 13th ranked Michigan State, who comes in at 17-4. Rutgers has lost 3 out of 5. This is where they begin their big run in the Big Ten of facing 4 or 5 consecutive ranked opponents. Can they keep it up? Can they continue? I don't see it. Michigan State comes in, winners of 3 out of 5. Gabe Brown is their leading scorer, but in classic Michigan State fashion, they don't really do that. They don't really have a 20 point per game scorer. They will get at you defensively and with length and with bruising physicality on defense. They rebound the hell out of the ball. Michigan State lay the 2.5. It looks like a trap. I might be walking into it, but I like Michigan State, and I'm going to lay the number. 5 p.m. Eastern Time, Pac-12 action at the McHale Center down in Tucson. This one has all the makings of being another good one. You've got 7th-ranked Arizona, 18-2. They're 11.5-point favorites, though, over USC, who comes in at 19-3, and they're ranked number 19. Arizona's coming off their biggest win of the year, which just happened last night over UCLA. They're now 8-1 in the Pac-12. And for the most part, they were in command. UCLA made a run at them late to make that game very interesting. They cut a 17-point lead all the way down to 3 in the final minute and a half. But Zona was too much for them. Zona, this game here is just going to be a battle of the bigs. 2 of the biggest teams in the nation. USC has 3 6'10" players on their team, while Zona counters with 2 7-footers. Coloco and Ballo right now are playing out of their minds, but their offense still revolves around Benedict Mathurin, who, man, I hate to say reminds me of Michael Jordan, but he's kind of, he's got that style and the way he plays, and he's just ice cold. Anytime Michigan State needs a shot, needs a basket, Mathurin's there, and Mathurin delivers. They're 11.5-point favorites, though, and USC's 9-3 in the Pac-12. They've won 5 out of 6, and like I said, they got three players 6'10", and it starts with Isaiah Mobley. I mean, he leads the team in points and rebounds. His big brother is right now the favorite to win NBA Rookie of the Year. The guards with Boogie Ellis, the Memphis transfer, he's really stepped in and kind of set up USC for that inside-outside game right now. I like the Trojans, plus 11.5. Arizona wins, but USC keeps it close and covers that 11.5. 5 p.m. Eastern Time, ACC action. Charlottesville, Virginia. Virginia's 13-9, and they're 3.5-point chalk against 16-6 Miami, who comes in. West Virginia's won 3 out of 5, but they've been way too inconsistent this season. Hence the 13-9 number. Too much up and down. Kentucky. I don't even know where I got that from. Miami, on the other hand, has been, as far as I'm concerned, the best team in the ACC so far. I mean, many will say Duke. I don't know why I'm a little crooked here, but I'm trying to, I gotta fix that. That one's off too. Let me, hang on here. Let me get situated. Still off. Well, it's still a little crooked. It kind of looks like it was when I set out to fix it. Well, anyway, Miami, on the other hand, Miami's won 3 out of 5. They score 75 points a game. Laurinega really has them getting after it offensively. Cameron McGusty, their gutsy guard, is just, man, this kid can play. He's got ACC honors written all over him. I like Miami here, plus the 3.5 on the road. Give me the Canes. 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Missouri Valley Conference action. Des Moines, Iowa. You've got the interstate rivalry there between Northern Iowa and Drake. Northern Iowa's 12-9. They head to Des Moines to take on Drake, who's 17-6, and right now the class of the Missouri Valley. If you go back and you listen to my videos back from the start of the season, I believe it was me, or somebody. Oh, there we go. That's better. Anyway, it was somebody almost as good looking as me, because nobody's as good looking as me, but somebody was pretty close and very good looking, very attractive, who told you that Drake was going to win the Missouri Valley and that you had to watch out for Drake because they could do a lot of damage this year. Well, Drake's won 4 in a row. They've won 6 out of 7, and they're the play here. Northern Iowa doesn't have the guns. They certainly don't have the horses to keep up. Lay the 4.5, take the Bulldogs. 6 p.m. Eastern Time, ACC action at the Dean Dome in Chapel Hill. I'm not going to sit here and complain about Duke, North Carolina, because if you want to complain about it, just turn on ESPN tomorrow, and they'll be talking about it all day, because it's the greatest rivalry in all sports, and you'll see buzzer beaters from years past, and it's Mike Krzyzewski's last trip to Chapel Hill, and what are the fans in North Carolina going to do? Please, are you kidding me? Duke, it comes in at 18-3, ranked number 9 in the country, and 2.5-point favorites over the hometown 16-6 unranked Carolina Tar Heels. Carolina has won 4 in a row, and Armando Bacot right now is their guy. He's averaging 16 and 12, and he's going to have to bang inside to keep Duke, who really isn't that physical. He's going to have to keep Duke off the boards, because Duke has also won 4 in a row, and they've got Paolo Banchero. And Banchero, I mean, let's face it, if you don't know about Paolo Banchero, that's because you're not watching college basketball. And Banchero is right up there, like I said, along with 2 other. He's going to be a top 3 pick in the NBA draft next year, right? It's a question of who's going to go number 1. But Banchero leads the way. Give me Duke. Lay the lumber with 2.5. Lay that on the road in Chapel Hill. 6 p.m. Eastern Time, SEC action right down the road, about 10 minutes from here in Nashville. Vanderbilt, LSU. LSU comes in 16-6. Somehow still ranked 25th in the nation. That's not going to last, because they did lose again the other night. They just continue to lose. They've now lost 4 out of 5. They haven't covered in 6 straight. And they're 3.5-point favorites over Vandy. Vandy's only 11-10, but Vandy's not a very good team. And they've lost 4 out of 5. But Scottie Pippen Jr. is the man. Scottie Pippen Jr. is second in the SEC in scoring. He's averaging just under 20 points a game, and he's got the guns to keep it close. Do I like LSU? Oh, no, I guess not. No, the answer is no. Absolutely not. No way, no how. Lock of the day, Vanderbilt plus 3.5. Moving on, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, we're going to stay in the SEC. Coleman Coliseum down the road in Tuscaloosa. This one's got the makings of a good matchup. Number 5, Kentucky comes in 1.5-point favorites. They're 18-4. They're taking on 14-8 Alabama. Kentucky is, right now, they're the darling, right? Everybody saw Kentucky blow out Kansas last week at the Fog in Lawrence. And Oscar Tshiebwe, I mean, come on. Oscar Tshiebwe could be one of the favorites for National Player of the Year right now. He's been dominating. He's just an absolute force. And you add Keon Brooks to the mix and Kentucky's endless supply of depth. There's a reason why they're such a good team and the biggest threat to take out Auburn in the SEC. And keep in mind, Auburn is the number 1 team in the country. There we go. That's better. I've got ESPN in the background, watching Luka. Highlights of Luka. God, Luka. Man. Luka's kind of ridiculous. Anyway, Kentucky's 1.5-point favorites at Coleman against Bama. Bama's won 4 out of 6. Right, they're coming off a big win over Baylor last Saturday in the SEC channel, the Big 12 SEC channels. Both these teams had huge wins. Kentucky beat Kansas, Bama beat Baylor, and Bama has kept on winning. Jaden Shackelford and Javon Quinterly right now are leading the way. Bama's a tough team, and especially at home, which is why the number's so low, right? I think this could be one of those trap games where Kentucky is a darling right now, and everybody's high on them after their win last week, and they're going to see the 1.5 point number, and they're going to say, that ain't enough. Everyone's going to jump on Kentucky, and they're going to lose because Alabama's going to win this game outright and knock off UK. Damn, another one. There we go. 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to stick in the ACC for the third straight time. Bud Walton Arena in Fayetteville. About 3 hours, a little longer than 3 hours, but anyway, one state over from where I am. Arkansas, 17-5 and 5.5 point favorites over 14-7 Mississippi State. Arkansas's won 6 straight. They've covered 6 out of 7. Their guard, J.D. Note, right now, man, this kid is lighting it up for Eric Musselman. And since Musselman got back on the bench, Arkansas finally got their groove back. They will be ranked in the next rankings that come out on Tuesday. Mississippi State, on the other hand, after 2 straight losses, they bounced back with a nice blowout win over South Carolina on Tuesday. I told you last week about Iverson Molinar, their guard. He'll be in the NBA. Maybe not next year, probably next year. But if not, definitely the year after. He's something special. He's going to be something special. He's going to be a hell of a player in the NBA. He's a guard that can score inside, outside, and he's tough in getting the ball to the rack. 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Pac-12 action. We go to Salt Lake, Stony, Utah. Oregon versus Utah. Oregon's 14-7 and 3.5 point chalk. They're taking on the Utes at home. In the Utes home, excuse me. I got a serious frog in my throat right now. Utah got a win over Oregon State on Thursday night. That snapped their 10-game losing streak. That goes to tell you all you need to know about Utah. That frog is not leaving. Give me one more second. So before everybody starts calling, saying, oh my God, you're hacking up a lung, you've got COVID. Please, let me laugh at you. You can't even get a cold nowadays without people insisting you have COVID. It's 10 degrees outside, and it's been like that for 2 weeks. Have you ever thought I might have a cold? No, colds don't exist because everybody, ooh, you've got COVID. Last year I coughed and everybody said, oh my God, you've got COVID. I got COVID a month later. It had nothing to do. I cough. You want to know why I cough? Because I chew Copenhagen. That's why I cough. Anyway, if you can't deal with it, don't deal with it. Moving on, Mississippi State, Oregon versus Utah. Like I said, Utah's a mess. It's a bad basketball team. Oregon's won 3 out of 4. Guard Will Richardson's leading the way. I'm going to lay the 3.5 and take the Quack Attack and the Ducks. 10 p.m. Eastern Time, WCC action, BYU versus Gonzaga up in Provo. This is where it gets tricky because the Zags right now, people are underestimating them, and I don't know why. Number 2 in the nation, right? They've won 11 straight. Chet Holmgren, but he's so thin, is dominating and will probably be the number 1 pick. If not, he's going to be top 3. He's dominating. You add him with Andrew Nemhart and then Drew Timme, that team's loaded. But they're 13.5 point favorites over a good BYU team. BYU 17-7, and yeah, sure, they've lost 3 in a row, and they're trying to avoid a 4-game losing streak. And they've won 1 of the last 11 games against the Zags, and their only win was 2 years ago. But Alex Barcello's leading the way, and 13.5 points is too many. Gonzaga wins, BYU covers. There we go. That's the one I need. Final 2 games of the evening, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, Pac-12, Tempe, Arizona, good old Wells Fargo Arena, where I saw Prince play twice, but that's neither here nor there. 16-3 and 3rd-ranked UCLA for now, because they just lost last night. They're 11.5 point favorites at 6-13 ASU. Arizona State's lost 7 out of 8. They're a mess. Bobby Hurley's a mess. They've had COVID. They've had injuries. Bobby Hurley has been suspended and fined. UCLA is just keeping it going. Yeah, they lost to Arizona, but Arizona has the makings and the looks of a Final Four team. UCLA may not look like a Final Four team, but they look like a Final 8 team, and they're close right now. They're very close. Shit. Can't get rid of it. One more. There we go. Johnny Juzang, Jaime Jaquez, they've won 6 out of 7. Even with their only loss was the Zona, like I said. UCLA laid 11.5. ASU's a mess. Finally, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, the last game on the board, WCC action, the Degenerate Special for all you degenerates. And if you're watching this video, then you are a degenerate. Loyola Marymount 9-11. They head up north to Moraga to take on St. Mary's. St. Mary's is 16.5 point favorites. St. Mary's has won 6 in a row. They've won 8 out of 9. Randy Bennett has his defense playing well, and St. Mary's is rolling right now, 18-4, like I said. But could they be looking ahead? They have Gonzaga coming up, and they got to play Gonzaga twice in the final 2 weeks of the season. They know that's coming up. They're 16.5 point favorites. Loyola Marymount has lost 4 in a row, but they've covered 3 out of 5 during that time. Eli Scott, who's like a slasher guard forward, has really been impressive, even though Loyola Marymount's not a good team. St. Mary's wins easily, but they don't cover. 16.5 is too many points. Take Loyola Marymount so we can hit another Degenerate Special like we did with Hawaii last week. That's it. That's what you got. 23 picks for the week. We want to hit at least 14. 14-9 is like the least we'll accept. Anything more is icing on the cake. Want to shoot for 16 or 17 to really break the bank. But like I said, 14 wins will do. So let's hit them. Let's hit them hard. I'm going to take something for this cough. But anyway, in the meantime, let's go. And let's go big. Let's go strong. And remember, if you want to win big, you got to bet big, right? To me, the action is the juice. Scared money don't make money. There's money on the streets that can't be ignored. And finally, good luck to you.